also. Hello, Agnieszka. Hello, Joanna.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Good morning.
Hi, ladies. Look, we're very, very, very excited to have you because I'm your biggest fan, one of your biggest fans. I've been to POLIN Museum a number of times, even before the official opening. And the reason I'm excited is that, you know, it's such a fantastic institution. So what I was hoping to do now is if you could briefly introduce yourselves, because I know that, Joanna, you wear a couple of hats. One is the POLIN Museum, the other one is the association. What do you do?
First of all, hello, good morning from Warsaw. So I am working at the POLIN Museum as the head of exhibition department. I used to work for many years as the production manager of the creation of core exhibition of POLIN Museum. And now I'm the member of the board at the Jewish Historical Institute Association.
And Agnieszka, what about yourself? We have some people coming in. How exciting. Hello.
Yes, we're colleagues from
colleagues.
the association. Yes, so hi, hello, and thank you for having us today. So I used to work at the POLIN Museum for 5 years in the research department, and 2 months ago I moved to the Association of the Jewish Historical Institute, where I work with my colleagues on fundraising for the POLIN Museum and for the Jewish Historical Institute, as well as for the Association of Jewish Historical Institute activities. So we are very much connected to the museum, and we work very close, and you may not see that, but actually our office is in the POLIN Museum. So it's maybe a bit complicated, but I think it's fair to say that our institutions are very much in partnership.
Amazing. And I think as I was listening to you, I just want your jobs, both of you. Like if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I think it's amazing. It's a dream job for many, many people. And I think having been associated with association and the museum, I know how much you love your jobs and how passionate you are. But it's been a tough year, right, for everybody. I mean, look, you know, I'm not even stating the obvious, I'm stating the obvious, but how did you cope with all the changes? Because I think you were closed for a while and then now you open again, is that right?
Yeah, well, as the museum, we closed ourselves in March, as all institutions cultural institutions in Poland. And it was really very difficult for us because it's hard, you know, to move from your plans, from your everyday activities. We were about a month before opening the new temporary exhibition and so on. So almost all our activities, we moved to online. But I think what is fascinating that we even within few days invented completely new branch of our online activities, which is online radio.
Oh, wow.
So we were really thrilled about it, and we knew that we have to keep in touch with our visitors who could not come back. So we were closed, and then 3 months later, in June, we decided to open this new temporary exhibition, which, by the way, is about the area where museum is located. It's the pre-war Jewish district, it's the center of the Warsaw Ghetto, so we created the exhibition about it. This was June, and then 2 months later, in August, we've reopened the core exhibition. At the very beginning, I don't know how it was in Australia. I know that in Melbourne it was a tough lockdown, but in Poland in summer, we somehow, you know, like forgot about this whole situation, and maybe we were not cautious enough because now we see the consequences. But even though many people were coming, many visitors, and we were, of course, with all the restrictions, we managed to have the institution open. I have to say that now with the situation, which is really getting more dangerous, less and less people are coming, and now we are open only for 4 days a week. So again, we are online and we have a lot of activities online.
And you are a very busy place. I've been to visit a number of times, and from seniors to all the way up to schools. You know, you get visitors. I don't know from how many countries, but you know, ranging from Israel to Canada to Australia. It's the place to go when someone hasn't been to Warsaw, or you know, particularly for people that do have Jewish heritage, but not just Jewish heritage. Agnieszka, has fundraising been a challenge?
Well, it would be hard to say that it's not, because the hit, everybody took a financial hit, but I think it's also fair to say that we received a support from our donors and from people who supported us for many years, and that POLIN Museum was not left alone in this situation, and that we are working together with our friends and donors in the US, in Poland, all over the world, to ensure that the POLIN Museum and their programs are secured for the future. So it's really a common goal and common effort to ensure that we all come out of this situation stronger. So, well, of course, it's tougher than it used to be, especially because we cannot meet in person. We cannot show to our potential donors or to our friends how great the museum is, because we cannot invite people from abroad to come and visit. So that is why the online program that Joanna mentioned is so important to us, and that this is actually something that we can show, we can propose, and we can still show how great and how important this museum is. So I think it's a challenge probably all branches faced, how to move online with what we do. And I think that the fundraising branch is also facing this new challenge, or how to redevelop itself and how to make this first impression without this great impression of the museum as a building or as a place. So we have also, as Joanna mentioned, online programs, but they are also on the core exhibition. So left without any materials to show, which is important for us. And I think that what the museum did during those last few months and the online program that they did is truly amazing and unique.
And I think you are an institution like no other. So I know a little bit about your history, and that it took more than 2 decades to get this initiative off the ground, and it's a collaboration of the city of Warsaw and donors and people that just rolled up their sleeves and made it happen. So the first time I went was before the official opening, and I was just amazed. It's such a beautiful space. I mean, architecturally, but also, you know, you sort of enter a different world of not just history, but I think it's very much alive. And any of the exhibitions, whether the core exhibitions or the ones that are temporary, are really pitched so well, I feel, anyway, for me, because, you know, I was born and brought up in Poland, and I had very little knowledge of you know, of Jewish issues, I guess, which is what your museum's all about. But particularly for people that come from overseas, I think the feedback that I get is that they're just blown away with the work that you guys do, you know, every day, and making sure that it's a sustainable institution as well. And, you know, there's been, you've had your share of political, you know, sort of pushing and shoving a little bit. So we watch all this from Australia, from Melbourne, where we are, with a lot of interest, and we wish you really well. And I think at the end we can give you a website, and there's a place on the website where you can donate money, because, you know, it's an institution that requires support, and it should be supported. But yeah, I was going to ask you, with the work that you do, how many people work, you know, to make an exhibition happen? Because you obviously quite a few people there, right? So it's a big team effort. It's not just 1 or 2 people. It's a massive undertaking, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. I mean, for the core exhibition, I remember we were counting once how many people were working on the core exhibition to create it, from the idea till the moment when the last painting was hanged in the showcase. So it's approximately 200 people, and they were really from all over the world. And it took us more than 20 years for many, many reasons. We've done a lot of completely new research. We were debating, arguing, discussing, you know, trying to make everything perfect. But for temporary exhibition, I have to say that it's approximately 2 years. So since the idea, it's approximately 2 years. And I have to say that it's around 30 to 40 people from various professions. So it might be art historians, psychologists, and then designers, architects, and so on. Every time when we are creating the new temporary exhibitions, we are always trying to make it for a little bit different group of our visitors. For example, we've done an exhibition for children, which might be surprising in the Museum of the History of Polish Jews, but on the other hand, it's not. Because you've said, Eva, that you were amazed when you have seen how we present 1,000 years of history. I think for all our visitors, it was a very common experience. They used to say, wow, we didn't know, because most people know about history of Jews, let's say in 20th century. But just please show me one person who knows something about 14th century and history of Jews in 14th century in Poland. So we are really, really trying to grab as much interest from our visitors. And of course, we never want to undermine the tragedy of Holocaust, but want to show the richness of Jewish civilization and culture.
Certainly the space, when I visit, feels like it's about building bridges and equipping people with knowledge. You know, putting kids into a museum is a challenging thing, so you don't want them to get bored. I know that you did an exhibition on King Matthew, and it was fantastic. You know, like because you have a cafe, you have a bookshop, and I was walking past, and there were kids, you know, coloring in, and they were really interested because the book, or the author of the book, is so well known, and it's such a wonderful publication. So I think the role of the museum of today, and I'm sure that this is a challenge for any museums, and I shouldn't really speak, I can only speak as a person that's visited and seen it, is that, you know, to create that living, genuinely interesting space is probably one of the bigger challenges, because people come in and you want them to go home with a lasting impression of something that they haven't seen before. And I think, you know, Jewish people that I know, or some I should say, before they go, they think they're going to be visiting a Holocaust museum, and it's nothing like, you know, there's a section of it, and as you say, you know, we need to be respectful and sensitive to all kinds of things. So I went there last year with my uncle, who lives in New York, and he, you know, he's a Holocaust survivor, and he was still so interested and so fascinated, him and his son, and, you know, the family. There was, we went on a tour where, you know, even if you went 20 times, you still wouldn't see everything that's available, and it's just so well presented, and it's a beautiful space above everything else. So how do you meet people's expectations, I guess, is my next question, because you know, the founders had a vision for it, and, you know, Marian Turski is still, I believe, part of it all. And I heard him, we went to Auschwitz in late January with my uncle from America, and it was so moving. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. So people like him had a vision of how to present that information, and then you as people that work on the ground had to realize that vision. So how does that work? Like, how do you reconcile all kinds of different agendas? And you know, it's a big question, I know, but maybe if you could take us through that a little bit, that'd be really good.
Sure. So we have, you know, we are on one hand a very wonderful idea of the museum. On the other hand, we are, like, you know, like a professional company. So we have our marketing department, and we are doing really a very intensive research and surveys with our visitors. So we have divided them into a few groups. For example, one group is diaspora, people like in Australia who really, well, let's say it's really hard to imagine, especially now that they will come and they will be able to see physically the exhibition. So we are having a whole group of activities and proposals for them. The other groups, which is also important, are people from Israel, especially young people from Israel, who are coming to Poland for their tours, and usually they only visit former death camps. And we want them to see this whole 1,000 years of Jewish life in Poland. The other group, which is very important for us, are Poles, also young Poles, because we have to be very fair. They don't know a lot, especially with this current school curricula. They don't know really nothing about Jewish history and Jewish life. And really, we are very, very much worried and concerned with what is happening now in Poland and in Polish schools. So these are three main groups for us, and we are trying to somehow fit some proposals for them. As you have mentioned, Eva, we were talking about exhibition for children and families and a special place for children. It's obvious that it's for them and not for people in Australia or United States. So these are these three main groups, and our whole program is, let's say, customized for their needs.
The marketing department does an amazing job because it's such a recognizable institution, you know, on the map of Warsaw, on the map of Poland. And, you know, like, I think most people know who you are. But Agnieszka, how do you make an institution like that sustainable? Because, you know, talking about money is not particularly sexy, if I can put it that way. But that's your job, right? You and your team, this is exactly what you have to do to make money come in so that you can support this great initiative.
Yes, we do, but we have a great product, let's say so. We have a great idea, we have a great vision, and people who are supporting us, they know that they are supporting this great cause and this great institution. And it's not that hard to explain to people why it is so important to support the POLIN Museum, and the fact that it's an international and worldwide known institution really helps us. It wouldn't be possible without the support from the donors from all around the world. So we are not selling, let's say. We are not proposing to our donors only what has been done during the past few years, not only the exhibitions that were made recently. This was a 20-something-year-old project that was seed founded by the donors from the US. So the need of creating the POLIN Museum, the idea that was behind it, it's something bigger than the building. It's something even bigger than the core exhibition. It's an effort. It's something that we did together. So if you put it that way, it's actually very not only interesting, but it's an idea. It's a project that we'd like to involve people in, not only one exhibition or one program, but this whole idea and this whole history that stood behind it, and the people that already supported us. It's actually a community of people who used to support us and who are really still interested in what we do, who are a friend of ours, even if they don't support us financially anymore. They are still involved in this community around the museum, and that is something that is actually, to come back to your question, a bit more sexy than just asking for money, because we are not funding only the institution, we are funding the community, I'd say.
And it is a landmark that's very important, I think, on Poland's landscape, in Warsaw's landscape, and it is built in an area that's kind of stark. So as you walk up, it's a really beautiful building that's the architects won a number of awards, and the museum's also won many awards, of course, for its beauty and its purpose, and but also, I think, for its future plans. I guess even though they have, I'm sure that you sit there every year and sort of pull your hair out and think, okay, what's how do we make it all happen? I think it's, as you said, it is it's not a business, but it does need to be sustainable. So what's that process like? How do you define your priorities, and what do you see your future like? I mean, forget the pandemic, because everyone's dealing with that. But you do have to sort of roll with the punches and be pretty agile. Although it's a big monument to the Jewish people of Poland. It's a testament to a 1,000-year history, and I think it's there to stay, right? But to make it sustainable financially also would be a challenge, no?
Yeah. Do you want to answer on financial?
No, that's all right. Go for it, Joanna.
Okay, so honestly, thank you very much for this question, because exactly now we are working on our new 5-year strategy for the museum. And if I may describe it where we are, there are two main challenges. One is, do we want to be more about Jews and Jewish culture and Jewish history, or do we want to be more universal? And the other challenge, the other line is, do we want to be, I would say, neutral, or do we want to be much more involved and, you know, ready to speak loud about what is going on now, politically, socially, and so on? So if we can see, and I'm not, as you said, I'm not talking about pandemics, but of course we also have to face and be ready for these completely new challenges, which, as we think, will be much more online activities. Because our visitors at the core exhibition, we had approximately 350,000 visitors per year. Wow. And they are from all over the world. Half of them are from abroad, from Israel, from United States, from Australia. By the way, we have audio guides with 12 language versions, and the newest one is Chinese. So you can imagine that it's really very international institution. And of course, for obvious reasons, they will not come back soon to us. So we have to try to move our activities to online. But coming back to these main dilemmas, this is for us what we are really struggling and thinking about it. And we are working in our museums. There are 180 people working there, and I think each one of us has a little bit different point of view. So in January, when we sum up this strategy and present it to our board and ask them to accept it, I'm very interested where we will be, what kind of guidances we will give. I think in the current situation, in the current world, we have to, of course, be very respectful and teach about Jews and Jewish history and make them be proud of their history, but also be brave and tell everything about, let's say, dark sides, and make this history more universal, and tell people what can happen if you are not doing and acting according to certain learning from the history. That's exactly, you have, Eva, mentioned you've been in January in Auschwitz, and that's exactly where Marian Turski had this really powerful, memorable speech that Auschwitz did not fall from the sky suddenly. I'm not sure if I say it properly.
You are, yeah. It didn't happen overnight.
It's happening incrementally, step by step, and we have to be very careful. And this is what is happening in Poland now, that people have said, stop. And I think that's also one of our challenges.
So your institution's role is not just preserving the history, but learning from the history, which is something that we, you know, sometimes forget. You go to a museum and you look at fancy paintings or whatever it is, but your role is in the space itself. It lends itself to reflection. It lends itself to learning about things you didn't know about, but also, you know, taking those lessons and applying them to your own life. And I think, you know, you mentioned children from Israel that come to Poland to like a massive cemetery, and that is certainly not the image that I, as a Pole, would want them to have. Like, there's so much more, and, you know, there's so much more that connects us. So the food, the language, the art, you know, literature, and certainly when you go to the museum, or even now online, you can see all that. And it's, you know, whoever has the pleasure of visiting or seeing it is really quite surprised at the way that you've organized the information, because that's another challenge, I think, because there's so much that you could say and so many things you could show, but you do have to be selective and quite, you know, attuned to what people might want to see, and then cover, you know, all ages, all kind of interests of people, so that everybody finds something interesting for themselves when they visit. So with your online presence, you did mention a radio. So what's that about? You have your own radio station or a podcast? What's happening?
We have our radio station. We have online virtual tours through our core exhibition and through our temporary exhibition. We have also, of course, we are now trying to make everything also available in English, and it is a lot of English programs on our website. What we are also now working on is to present our collection online, which is very interesting because we have a lot of, I would say, personal objects that were given to us as a safe place to preserve it. These are very, very sometimes moving personal objects, which, as you very well know, since the material heritage of Polish Jews was also destroyed, most of this was destroyed. It's for us very, very important that people are giving us their letters, their diaries. For example, recently we have just now added to one of our galleries, Holocaust Gallery in the core exhibition, we have added personal letters and diaries from different ghettos. And I think our next step would be to translate it and to show it also online. Also, one last thing that I would like to mention is that we are working on two new permanent exhibitions. One is called Legacy and one is called Expanded Geography. Legacy is mostly about famous Jewish scholars and artists and politicians, but I think Expanded Geography is very interested because we want to show different continents, different area of the world where Jews moved from Poland and they are living there, and there are some phenomena that are, let's say, rooted back in Poland but now present there. And we have announced international contest for filmmakers from these communities and ask them, show us a very brief movie, 5 to 8 minutes, which we will show in the exhibition with a phenomenon from your country. And international jury was, judging it. And I have to say that from Australia, we will have the story from Melbourne, and you might maybe add something to this or correct me if I'm wrong. Right. There was a proposal that there is a famous bakery or shop, yes, with a cheesecake recipe. So we will have a movie about it, and this contest will be, I would say, incremental. We will repeat it. So we will be very, very thrilled and happy if you will participate in this contest.
Sounds like we might have to. I think preserving memories and creating history is something that you do really well, and I've been a witness to it, so I know. And I think making it accessible to people that might not be able to visit in person, or you do need to look for creative and innovative ways of presenting information is really fantastic. Like as I said, I'm your biggest fan. But I do have 2 questions. So by the way, we've nearly run out of time, and we have a lot of questions online that Andrew's going to ask. But I have 2 questions. One to you, Joanna. What is your dog's name? Because unbeknown to you, your dog's been walking on the couch there. So we want to know.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. What's the dog's name?
Yes, his name is Maupus, which is really difficult.
Maupus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he sort of, checked us out and went back to sleep. So there you go.
It's good that he's not barking. Oops.
Very cute, very cute. And Agnieszka, to you, if people want to support you and donate money or support you some other way, how do they contact you, please?
Sure. So if you'd like to support the POLIN Museum through the association, you can do it through PayPal, for example, which will be probably the easiest way from Australia. But you can also donate money to our bank account, saying that you are supporting the POLIN Museum. We're also, if you would like to make, because to be honest, bank transfers from Australia are a bit more difficult because it's harder to get the tax deduction on those transfers. So for regular transfers, I'd suggest PayPal, but if you would like to make a significant donation, you can contact us at the association, and we will try to make it work, to make it as good as we can. But of course, if someone do not have the financial means to support, although of course every donation is important to us, and for every donation we are very grateful. You can always share the museum's program or the museum's activity, and tell your friends about it, and give us your feedback, and thus create this worldwide community of friends of POLIN Museum.
Yeah, and fans like I am, and I think you're right. Every little bit helps, and I think you know, if you do get to see the museum in action and all the work, that it's a no-brainer. It's a really worthwhile institution to support. So, and we will post the website on our Facebook page later, so that people can donate if they want to, and spread the word, because basically the more we know about you, and you know, as you both mentioned, there are lots of digital activities and digital tours. Your website's full of really, really amazing, fantastic activities and resources. So I would strongly encourage everyone to visit. We've got a couple of minutes. So I'm going to hand over to Andrea for extra questions.
Thank you so much, guys, for such a wonderful conversation. So I have a few questions here. First of all, Joanna, you mentioned that you've been trying to put everything online, accessible for people. And there's someone who wants to know if it's possible right now to access some sort of historical records, document from the museum online.
Yes, if you could visit our website, which is www.polin.pl, then you can switch into English version, and of course you can search through some of our databases and also online portals, like for example Virtual Shtetl portal, and you can find there the story of a lot of different towns and villages. And also, you know, like going through this, for sure you will find some interesting archival material for you.
And Joanna, you do have a resource center. So we had Michał Majewski visit us, I want to say last year, maybe 2 years ago now. My head's still spinning from the pandemic. And I know that they're so knowledgeable. And so when you go to the museum physically, they're there and they can help you look for records. And I know that they were trying to put together a database of Polish passports, which I have to check with Michał to see how that's going. But certainly, you know, there are things on the website that you can access, or links to external institutions as well. So it's a really rich resource of all kinds of information.
Thank you so much. There's one more question for Agnieszka, and this is related to the benefits of supporting the association. So basically, we wanted to know why people, especially Polish diaspora or people who simply has Polish heritage, why they should support the association and the POLIN Museum.
Sure. So when it comes to the POLIN Museum, when you're supporting the POLIN Museum, you're joining this fabulous community of friends of POLIN Museum, but that's of course not all of it. If you donate a significant amount of money, you are honored on the site. You are honored on our walls, and you will be forever there as a significant benefactor to the museum. We will also, of course, let you know about all the programs and projects that are happening at the POLIN Museum. But of course, the most important thing is that you are supporting this idea, and that you will see that your money or your donation is supporting or contributing to this great things that the museum is doing. So this, I would say, is the most important benefit of donating to the POLIN Museum. And as Joanna said, the POLIN Museum is looking to its future, but it's also what was said many times, the museum of life. So this is something this is an ongoing project. This is something that we look towards to the future. We have our new plans and new prospects, and becoming a donor means that you are becoming also part of this incredible journey of actually making this Jewish life in Poland happening. Because it's not only about the history, it's also about the future of how we are making this community also for the Jewish descendants of people. And also just briefly saying something about the association, because the Supporting POLIN Museum is only one of the three main things that the association do. So one is obviously the POLIN Museum, that's our most important project and most important partner, but we also support the Jewish Historical Institute, which is our partner institute, and they are doing an incredible research job, mostly on the Holocaust materials. They have the exhibition on the Ringelblum archive and the Warsaw Ghetto. So it's also what they do is a bit different than POLIN Museum, but it's also very important and historical and academic wise. And the third thing that the association do is supporting the local activities through our grants, for example, that we give to local communities or local associations that are supporting or preserving the Jewish history, or that we give them some seed funding for their projects, also to maintain the Jewish life in Poland. So if you support the association or POLIN Museum or Jewish Historical Institute, you're actually supporting the revival of Jewish life in Poland and preserving this history. And I think that is it's a great benefit.
Absolutely. Look, guys, you're legends. I have to tell you that I'm sitting here listening and really yearning for Poland. So, you know, every summer I go and I hang around, you know, cool places like POLIN Museum, and just really soaking, you know, today's Poland. And, you know, forget about politics. It's the people. It's the history. It's everything that Poland's about that I really yearn for. Right now, I'm sitting here thinking, I missed out this year, so definitely next year we're coming. We'll be there. We'll be visiting. But I'm so grateful for your time. I know you've had to, you know, get up extra early or whatever, but it's just been amazing. Personally, it's an institution that's very close to my heart, and I think to many people. And those that have visited will, you know, attest to that. Those that haven't been, please go. Those people that want to support the museum, please do. And it really is a fantastic institution. So on my own behalf and my family, who has also supported you know, your fantastic institution and exhibitions, I wanted to thank you both. It's so clear that you're very passionate, and like I said at the outset, I'm very jealous of your jobs, but that's okay. Don't feel threatened. I'm not going to take it over. But I think, you know, like you are quite an inspiration to people that study history or study, you know, I don't know, what do you study to become a big boss like you, Joanna? What do you have to study?
I'm cultural anthropologist.
Wow. And what about you, Agnieszka? What university did you finish, or what did you study?
Art history.
Right. So there are lots of, you know, potentially there's lots of kids out there that think, okay, what do I want to become? You can become this lady. So if you want, although, you know, they won't be that easy to match, you know, their knowledge and passion, I think. So look, thank you very much for spending your morning with us. We'll post your website, and we'll see you hopefully next year. You know, as soon as I can travel on there, and, you know, come to Australia when you can. We do have a lot of fans here in Melbourne as well. So thank you both so very much. Thank you, Agnieszka. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks, guys. Bye.